Thinking of playing La Bataille de Vauchamps. This game portrays the Battle of Vauchamps and following French pursuit that occurred on February 14, 1814, part of Napoleon's six-day glory campaign. Napoleon was fighting to defend against the coalition forces and was attempting to eliminate the army of Silesia, which General Blücher was in command of. So in addition to clear terrain, we have woods hexes here. Woods hexes. These trees that line the road here are ornamental and do not have any gameplay effect at all. We have slopes, and I will say that even though so far the splash marks, for example up here, even though they can look different, so far I don't see any gameplay difference. So far, as far as I can tell, these are all slope hex sides, no matter how they may look in particular. Pawns here, I guess I haven't yet determined whether they're passable or not, but we'll get to that. One hex of buildings is a village. A group of hexes with buildings are a town. So La Boularderie is a village, but Fontaine-au-Rhône is a town. Town of Vauchamps. Town of Yanvilliers. Anyways, nice looking, easy to figure out the terrain. Let's talk about combat units. On the back of the rules, is a full-page counters guide, and what I've done is I have photocopied that in color to use as a play aid. So, combat units. Combat units represent infantry, like that. They represent cavalry, like that, and they represent artillery, like that. So infantry, cavalry, artillery. We have the unit sizes. So we have a unit with 3 dots. On the top center is a regiment, and 2 dots. The top is a battalion, and 1 dot on top is a battery. Directly on the order of battle displays, it clearly shows that, and this is just one example, I'm pulling off the order of battle display. You've got this regiment, the 1st Silesian Regiment is made up of the 1st Battalion, 1st Silesian Regiment, 2nd Battalion, 1st Silesian Regiment, and 3rd Battalion. Combat units are two-sided. So the 1st Battalion, 1st Silesian Regiment has a front side and back side. The front side, with the unit uniform color pattern, is known as the general side. This has visual information regarding how the unit was uniformed, or its colors. The higher organization to which the unit belonged, for example, the 1st Silesian Regiment on the left there. Its type and size. So type and size. So to figure out exactly what we're dealing with here, the 1st Battalion, 1st Salesian Regiment, we're going to come here. First thing to note is that the 6 and 7 numbers are in a kind of old German type font. So first thing, that sure enough, the old German font style refers to a Prussian unit. So we have the X in a box NATO style, but we're going to look for that, and actually it's right there. So we see all these different types. Our musketeer infantry, which actually, if we look here, has the little curved dash. It also tells us right there that the curved dash is musketeer. And then, of course, we have, again, the 2 dots at the top to tell us the size is battalion. Key unit values are 6 for its unit size. That's its increment or strength. 7 is its movement allowance per turn. There's also a color bar through the center of the counter, which cuts it in half. And we can easily look and see which one it corresponds to here. And let's see. Yes, it does. It actually works. So here's the Prussian column. It's the Prussian column. Come down here. We have all of the center lines depicted. This tells you which corps the unit belongs to for the French, what division the unit belongs to for the Russian, or what brigade the unit belongs to for the Prussians. We have a Prussian unit here. The blue with gold, I guess you'd call, I don't know, blue with gold border is right there, the 11th Brigade, which, looking at the order of battle, is correct. 11th Brigade, 2nd Corps. The flip side of the unit is called the specific side, and this is where we get more detailed unit values. Generally, you're going to find more detailed values regarding fire, melee, and morale. You might also see some special capabilities shown here. For this basic musketeer unit, we have top to bottom. So the name again, 1st Salesian. This unit only has values down the left side, top, middle, and lower left. So top left is its fire value, 7. 16 is its melee value, and 22 is its morale. I think lower morale is better, but we'll get to that when we talk about morale. Here we have a unit. This is just the 3rd Battalion Salesian from the same regiment, same brigade. But right away, we can tell even on the front, we said that the curved dash is musketeer. That historical icon there is Fusilier. For the Prussian, that's Fusilier. So it looks very similar to its 1st Battalion sister unit there. Also, we can tell the NATO symbol is also different. It tells us as well right here that unlike that 1st Battalion we were looking at, which is Musketeer, this unit is Fusilier. So actually we have it both. This tells you it's Fusilier, this tells you it's Fusilier as well. And then when you flip it over to its specific side, they're going to be different. Because the Fusiliers have, Fusiliers also have a fire value of 8, a melee value of 14, and a morale of 23. But over here, in the middle right, we have a fire range of 2. This unit doesn't have a range, so I'm assuming that it's 1. But this one has a range of 2, and the trumpet or horn, I guess it's, which one is it? I don't know. That symbol is another historical symbol for units trained to skirmish. So that is a skirmisher symbol. And yeah, and the name on the top, 3-1 Silesian. So here we have a cavalry unit, but the 6 and the 13 in the script, Old German font, tells us it's a Prussian unit as well. We look at the top here, what type. Size is 3 dots for a regiment. But the unit type there in the center top box, again, we look at our little play aid sheet, and it's right there. Under the Prussian column, we have that design there, is right there, and that tells us it's Lancer Cavalry as well. It's got the symbol, the bottom there, separating the strength or increment value and movement allowance. Got the little symbol there. It should show up as well on our play aid, and it's right there, which again tells us it's Lancer. And then you flip it over to its specific side. Silesian Ulan. It looks like, oh, it only has 2 values on the left, so I'm assuming that it has no fire value because it has no fire combat capability. 19 for melee, 24 for morale. Plus 3 in this case is a lance bonus. And the symbol below there is a lance symbol showing that this unit has that special ability. I'm going to switch to an artillery unit. First of all, no longer have that old German font. So this looks similar to kind of a Times New Roman font for the 2 and the 6. But we look and we see, okay, that's a French unit. So we're on the French column now, looking at all of the particulars. Okay, so that symbol, well, first of all, the size is 1 dot, so it's a battery. The NATO symbol there, we're going to look for what corresponds, and it's right there. Foot artillery. So our foot artillery, we have the red burning grenade or cannonball symbol there. So we're looking here, look down here, and boom, artillery. So size of 2 or increment value of 2, movement allowance of 6. Flip it over to its specific side. We have a graphic symbol of a unlimbered artillery piece. Makes it easy to remember. 7 9th foot. For the artillery, we have these numbers on 1397 on the left are actually fire values at different ranges. 13 at short range, 9 at medium range, 7 at long range. The 7 up here is the maximum range. 2 is the melee value. And 16 is the morale value. Okay, so short, medium, long fire values, max range, melee value 2, and 16 for morale value. So I pulled these units from the French Order of Battle display to show how we can figure out who these units are, and then battalions versus regiments. So the 10 that shows in each of the 3 counters is the regimental name or number. So this is the 10th Regiment. Again, the size up here is regiment, and this is battalion and battalion. Starting with the regiment here on the left, the 7 means or refers to the division the unit belongs to. So this regiment belongs to the 7th Division. The L on the left is refers to Laval, the commander. I'll leave that for now. But looking over here, 3rd Battalion and 4th Battalion, 10th Regiment, 7th Division. So this is the regimental counter. This regiment is made up of these 2 battalions. So if the regiment is on the map like that, then the two battalion counters are off map on the order of battle display. Or if the battalions are on the map, the regimental counter is on the order of battle display off map. As to cavalry, there are many specialized types of cavalry. Cavalry has special abilities to charge and rout enemy units before the movement of other troops. It may also react to movement in its frontal hexes and restrict the movement of troops into their zones of influence. There are 2 types of cavalry. Light cavalry have a movement allowance of 13 or more, so 15 here means that this is light cavalry for rules purposes. This is French. This is French. This is Hussar. From that symbol there. And also the uniform icon there also tells you that it's Hussar. This Prussian, Prussian cavalry here is Cuirassier, or heavy cavalry because it has a movement allowance of 10. So heavy cavalry have a movement allowance of 12 or less. Cavalry never break down into smaller units. Some light cavalry have a second number with a plus sign to the right of their melee value. That's the lance bonus we already looked at. The Hussars do not have that. But we already looked at the lance bonus before. As for artillery, we have 2 types. Foot artillery, like these 2, have a movement allowance of 5 or 6. And horse artillery have a movement allowance of 11 or 12. So this Prussian artillery unit in the center is horse artillery, movement allowance of 11. When an artillery unit is on its general side, or general side faced up, it is limbered and able to move its printed movement allowance. When you flip the artillery unit over to its specific side, it is unlimbered and able to fire. So the overhead line art for an unlimbered artillery piece tells you that the unit is unlimbered and able to fire. Then leaders and aide-de-camps. This is a leader, and this is an aide-de-camp. Their individual personalities and selected staff which led the troops on the field of battle. On the general side, they always have a strength increment or increment value of 0. And then when you flip them over to their specific side, they have generally, so the leader is Marmont, and the aide-de-camp is Richemont. So we have some DRMs that define these leaders. So upper left, the 6-8 and the dash, I guess Richemont has no melee modifier, but 6- or /8 for Marmont is his melee modifier. The first value is on the attack, the second value is on the defense. Then over here, the 5 is an artillery modifier. Again, the ADC has none. Down here, lower right, is the morale modifier. ADC has a 2, Marmont has a 7, and over here, lower left, is the cavalry modifier. So we have another leader here, Leval, which has again melee modifier of 2, artillery modifier of 1, morale modifier of 1, and no cavalry modifier. And then we have this leader, Prussian leader, Hacke, who has no melee modifier, no artillery modifier, morale modifier of 1, and a cavalry modifier of 2. Napoleon has a morale modifier of A, which means that friendly units stacked with Napoleon always automatically pass their morale check. And finally, leaders with artillery bonus never improve infantry fire unless the firing units for an attack include at least one artillery unit and the leader is stacked with that artillery unit. The game uses various informational markers used on different game tracks. And the game uses incremental loss counters. They are white. They're white with a black number on them. When a combat unit takes a loss, an increment number. So if this Prussian infantry battalion took 2 increment loss from combat, the increment loss counter of 2 would be placed under the unit. We also have markers for square formation and for road march order. And we have morale state markers. We have disordered. And on the back side of that we have routed. So these are placed, so if this Prussian infantry unit were disordered, it goes on top, disordered or routed. Then we have readiness level informational markers, cavalry. This one that melees, well, maybe that's not a good example. Yeah. Take the cuirassier. Cavalry that melees in a turn will have a readiness level marker added to reflect the combat unit's current level of readiness depending on which player's segment their readiness changed in. So we have fatigued, and we have flip side exhausted. And then we have blue, the same. So blue and green, I guess those are used for whether it's the French or coalition players segment, I'm guessing. The game uses 6-sided dice, rolling 1 or 2. Other than the traditional roll of 1 6-sided die, we have the 2d6 roll is the percentile style. So the colored die is the 10 is like the 10s, white die is like the 1s. So this is a 51, a 63, or a 32. The game has various player aid charts. There is a full page fire combat results table like that, which allows for the 36 different die rolls with 2d6. It's like odds columns along the top. And then there's a melee combat results table, full page. Then the French player and the coalition player, have their own 4-page player aid, what do they call them? Player aid charts set. So we've got movement cost, ground conditions, French square realization table, formation morale levels, lots of tables and lists of modifiers, reasons for morale checks, and then the backside is a very specific French melee/lance bonus value reference chart with lots of detailed information and values. And then the coalition players 4-page player aid charts and tables as well, with their full-page coalition melee lance bonus value reference chart on the back.